Hi guys, welcome to another movie crew review. Today we'll be reviewing In the Lost Lands.
The movie stars Bautista and Milla Jovovich.
So, when a queen, in her desperation to find love, sends a witch, Gray Alys, to the Lost Lands to find a werewolf, she is teamed up with a hunter, Boyce, played by Bautista, as they travel through this treacherous land on their 5-day or 5-moon cycle quest to find this illicit werewolf. We're going to get into the review, and Moon is going to start us off.
All right, so this movie is directed by the Paul W.S. Anderson. If you know anything about him, he has this talent of making the same regurgitated crap all the time. I've seen Resident Evil movies, I've seen a couple of other movies, and most of the movies are his dear wife, who is actually she's a really good actress in my opinion, and she can kick some ass, but she's always in his movies and it's always the same outcome as this movie. This movie, when it started, had a weird, like Zack Snyder movie palette, and I was like, are we in a Zack Snyder movie? Then, when the action started, and I put the pieces in the puzzle that it got Milla Jovovich, so it has to be Paul W.S. Anderson movie. And my God, this movie, I don't know what is it all about. I was struggling, and I don't know what this story is about. It was such a snooze fest. Only good things I can say, like I like Mila Jovovich, and that's about it. Maybe I was so uninterested in the movie, so I didn't see the end coming, so I can give the props there. And that's about it. It's another boring movie. Cameron?
Yeah, opposed to Moon, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I think it gave enough difference for me in the genre of this fantasy sort of Western style movie. I really enjoyed the acting of Dave Bautista's and Mila Jovovich's characters together. Like Moon, I didn't see the ending coming, but yeah, the palette was very colorless. So if you're into that, this movie's all for you. I mean, for the runtime, it's a pretty straightforward story until the twist at the end. So for me, I didn't expect too much from it, considering it's only an hour 40, I think, an hour 45. So there's not really much you can cram into it. I think they delved into that well, considering, so they didn't stretch any parts out, I don't think. I mean, the only thing they stretched out was probably the action. There was a lot of slow-mo. So if you cut out probably most of the slow-mo, it's probably a 90-minute film. But I did enjoy the actions, and I think the effects were pretty well done as well. I know there was a couple of creatures in this film that actually looked pretty menacing and terrifying. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, it's no blockbuster fantasy movie. You can tell it's probably on the cheaper side of things in Hollywood, but I enjoyed the story, and the twist that George R. R. Martin's known for is probably resident here. And so yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. John?
Yeah, I didn't really care for the movie too much, to be honest with you. I think Dave Bautista was probably the most interesting character for me in terms of, like, he's mysterious, but he's a ladies' man. You know, he's going everywhere, meeting all the people. Like, yeah, he's just that kind of guy that's into pretty much everything, and he's kind of the driving force for the film. I found that Mila's character was not really that interesting for me, to be honest with you. I don't think that's a blight on her. I think it's more the writing than anything else, probably.
Yep.
I wasn't really that interested in her story or outcome, and it was very, I don't know, it was just middle of the road in terms of a character. It was more there to drive along the plot than anything else, because everybody seems to go through her, so it was more just interconnecting the whole thing. The patriarch character, the religious zealot person that was on the hunt for them, was also an interesting character for me. I think that it was cool seeing all the train scenes, and they've got this cool interconnected subway or train kind of system where the train's flying midair, and then they've got this train that's coming through the tunnel. Those kind of scenes I did like, but at the end of the day, the CGI is like from like a 2005 style film. It's real heavy on the green screen, real heavy on the look of it being, to be honest, pretty cheap. Especially like certain scenes where they're like riding the horse and they're like, you'd expect to see that in some kind of a real budget film where they're on the horse and they're doing like a close up and galloping for like 3 seconds and they just keep playing it over and over. So yeah, I mean the storyline really didn't interest me, and the twist at the end, to, funnily enough, to be honest with you, I didn't see it coming, but at the same time I didn't really care for it. I just was happy for the film to be over, to be perfectly frank. It just wasn't something that really interests me from the start, and I never really picked it up as I went along. There wasn't anything that I saw that I thought, oh, this is really good. It's really a take it or leave it for me, and I wasn't really interested in taking it. So yeah.
I do agree about the creatures. They look pretty cool. Like we can actually when they see them, most of the time it's so dark we
It
can't
is
see
very dark.
anything. And the fight scene was terrible. Like he always has this habit of he just shakes the camera, and when she was shooting the guys and like she's shooting in some direction and like
I
people are
appreciate
flying
it
off
wasn't
the
as shaky as some of his other films, which was
true, yeah, but
he's
yeah,
learning
yeah,
somewhat.
maybe he's out of now,
But
but
yeah,
yeah.
I
Maybe
reckon
because this is my first film with him.
Is
Maybe
it?
I,
Maybe you've been spared your whole
yeah,
life,
maybe because I had nothing
Yeah,
to
you need to
expect.
yeah.
watch Resident Evil
So for
movies.
me, it's like I don't know. I like these type of fantasy worlds. So for me easy to get into as opposed to maybe you guys. Whereas I thought the world looked different enough. I don't know whether that was on his case or maybe the writing of George R. R. Martin, but I think it sort of blurred the lines between a Western and sort of a Mad Max.
No, I
Yeah,
see. I can see this movie done much better. Like
Mm.
if it was
yeah, it
someone
had the
else, yeah,
potential
potential
there.
had it was there.
I
Like
like the religious side of it, something that you don't usually see in all of these
yeah,
post-apocalyptic
I
Yeah.
like the
films.
Western side and all.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it was good. Like she's a witch, and we all got the guys on the cow, slingers and stuff.
Yeah.
I could have, you know, liked it, but I didn't. So I
Yeah.
think.
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
The look of the werewolves in the film were quite nice. I found them to be done quite well, especially with all the fur and everything like
Mm.
that. So I think that yeah, on that part, if they spent the money on the budget for those kind of things, yeah, great. But at the same time, I don't know if it wasn't that it wasn't executed properly, but the story seemed like it could be interesting. But I don't know if it's the way that it was shot that made it a bit dull, a bit lackluster, or if it was just a because like when you're taking a short story and you're expanding it, the writers have to take some part in interesting dialogue, and it felt like a lot of the people were speaking like this old English kind of way of talking, and then Dave Bautista and Milla's characters were speaking like, I don't know, for lack
Modern
of a better
English.
word, like
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
So like it's kind of two different languages going on at the same time, and
Or maybe they're just from different worlds, like different part of the world,
Mm.
yeah, but it just kind of took me out a bit because it's it'd be like watching Romeo and Juliet and everybody speaking like with that old English accent, and then all of a sudden Leonardo DiCaprio is like, yeah, let's do this. It was just took me
And
out a bit.
this is sort of, I don't know, this movie is like Beauty and the Beast, but backwards.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think with the when you were touching on the scenery, how it sort of felt very cheap and green screen. I think because everything was shot really close up, and the world they tried to make it really small, which is what I appreciate. Because the first line, Dave Bautista opens up and pretty much describes the world, what you're gonna go get into, and how the movie runs for. And I think he described it perfectly. And the that that's where I can really sort of like the movie more because it doesn't try and be something bigger than what it is. It's very much they go on this road and they need to get to the end of the road and then come back pretty much in this small little world that we're in. And so yeah, I think they executed it pretty good for me.
I probably liked the map. That was something that you don't see in a lot of movies, more like
Yeah,
games than
Yeah,
anything else, and that helped split everything up so it didn't all merge into one thing. But also, it how do I say it? It drove drove the film forward. So when we were starting to be worried about like we're going to get into a slow spot, it helped pick the pace up.
Yeah,
of the
definitely
movie.
help keep it moving and helping you cut from one scene to the next because they do move location. Well, it pretty much all looks the same, but location to location with a different building. But yeah.
You can take any one of the scenes of this movie and you couldn't place it at what part of the movie it was in, to be perfectly frank.
True.
It is pretty much just yellow for the background. Everything's just, yellow.
And I would have liked if she used her powers a bit more.
Mm.
Yeah, for
She
a
didn't
witch,
do
she didn't really
much.
do
Yeah,
much.
she didn't
At the
do
start,
more
I will
witches.
say that was, I thought we were going to get a lot more of that, where she's
Yeah,
like
the starting
transitioning
scene
between the
that was
guys.
so cool, like in the beginning, yeah. But after that, like with the fight with the werewolf, and she goes in, then the crow or whatever comes, that was cool. Wish
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
have
but
they've
it's
done
too
more with it.
sparse, you know what I mean? For a witch, it needs to be a lot more. It needs to be more witchy
Witchy.
things.
Yeah, I get it, but
No,
the character
she has
explained.
limited powers.
Yeah,
don't
she
you?
goes. She
I
could.
know, but for me, it would have made it more interesting. Is what I'm trying to say. I understand it's a limitation of the film, but at the same time, it would have
No, it's
made me
more
more
the
interested in it.
character. She
Character, I'm saying,
explains.
yeah, yeah.
She explains that every time she uses the power, it sort of
She out
drains
of her.
her. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they do explain it why she's not this
When
uber.
did they-
Because if
I
she
don't
was,
know.
huh?
When did they
When they
explain
fought
that?
the big freaking skeleton
I
guy.
don't know, man.
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Jesus.
all blurs into
That's
one.
alright. I'll explain it. It's fine.
I'll be honest with you. I read the synopsis for this film before the film, and I was a bit confused by it. And then I came out of the film, and I'm still confused by the synopsis. So we got to really.
I mean,
be on
it's
the
very
ball.
straightforward. I don't know what there's confusion about. It's they went on this road and then they came back. It's
Yeah,
pretty
pretty much.
They
straightforward.
just added 10 steps of complication.
All right, guys, gonna give our scores.
Yeah,
Yep.
Moon, how many witches out of 10?
I get 4 witches out of 10.
John?
Yeah, I'll give it 3 witches out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it 7 witches out of 10. All right, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, share the video. Catch you on the next one. Ciao.